Hi guys, it's me. So this is my first video. We'll see how it goes. What I want to talk to you today about is the technique where you're blending two colors together and you're creating a smooth transition from one to the other. So bear with me with my technical scenario here. Whoa, things are slipping around. So just as an example, what I want to show you first is that, whoops, left is right, right is left. I'll get it. So in this top little area here, you can see that these are two really different colors and they have a relatively harsh line between them. But if you want to get something a little bit more like that George O'Keeffe image I showed you, you might, whoops, want to get something where your transition from one color to the other is softer, or you might want to get something where your transition from one color to the other is actually just a very gradual transition. So the key to this is you can have an entire object painted in blue, one color, and an entire other object painted in purple, another color. And all we're going to work on, and that can all be dry, all we're going to work on is this central area where they're meeting. And the key to that is that we need this to be wet. So let me show you what we're going to do. I'm not sure, I got to figure out how you can see this, so, oops. Yeah, I don't have a professional setup here, if you can't figure that out already. All right, so what I've got here is I've got two colors. I've got a blue and a red, and I've never mixed these two before, so I don't know what they'll look like. Oops, excuse me. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use 3 different brushes here because it's just going to be easier to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my area of red. So again, I can have a whole huge area of red that's dry, and I just want to go into this area where the two are going to meet and have it be wet. Now, I do want to have a lot of paint on here. How much is a lot? Well, for those of you who paint really thin, more than you usually do. For those of you who paint thickly, you know, you'll figure it out. And what I want to do is I want to put these two colors very close to each other without touching. And I really want to keep this, this central area here. There needs to be enough paint there for me to be able to actually move these around. And then I'm going to come in with a clean brush, okay? So make sure that this is a clean brush because otherwise it's going to be a problem. And I just realized I might want a tiny little bit of water on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into these two piles and I'm going to zigzag back and forth. Zigzag, 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 zigzag. I find it helps if you say it at the same time. Sometimes I say ziggity, ziggity, ziggity. I might go and do it one more time, ziggity, 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 okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rag, I'm going to wipe off that color so I'm not getting muddy red into muddy blue, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to just go through that once, wipe it off, and go through this once. And what I'm doing is I'm going and smoothing out each area, but I'm not going back and forth. Because if I go back and forth, what happens is I start bringing the dark to the light and the light to the dark. So that's kind of a relatively narrow blend, but you can see that I've got a little bit of purple in there. I'm hoping you can see that. And what is happening is it's all about getting these two colors to talk to each other and blend into each other without, like, if I just tried to go from blue to red, I would probably end up here having a lot of blue, and if I tried to go from red to blue, I'd probably end up here having a lot of red. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a small, consistent blend. So I'm going to do that one more time, and I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to try and make a bigger blend. And again, I can have whatever I have. I'm working on a pretty smooth paper here, which is okay, but it does present some problems in that I can kind of scrape the paint off of the surface. But don't be stingy with your paint on this, okay? Just don't be stingy. This is not a moment to be stingy. Okay, so I've got my two colors, and I've got my relatively clean, it's actually just dry brush. And I'm going to come on in here, and I'm going to put this down on the ground, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to do slightly wider zigs this time. So I'm going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Okay, like that. And again, I'm going to wipe this off so I'm not taking paint from one thing to the other. I'm going to go starting in this blue. I'm going to wipe. I'm going to come into this red here. And you can see I've got a little bit of blue on my brush and it's starting to come in here, but it's not too bad. I'm going to go down there. And that's not looking bad. What I want to do is I want this red to be a little more, have a little less blue in it. So I added a little more red here, so I have a wet area. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to maybe do a little bit up here also, so that this blend up here is a little better and smoother, okay? And so then what happens, and occasionally I mess up, as you will too, so then what happens is you're going to start to get a soft edge of blend. And you can play around with this and see how you can soften up your edges. Okay, so that's this video, and let me know if you have questions. Thanks.